Every kingdom fears invasion from outside its walls. But ours was conquered from within. The man who swore to protect the throne now sits upon it, cloaked in shadow. His name is Varric, the Shadow King, and this is the story of how his darkness was met with dawn. King Alden of the Silver Realm was a ruler known for his wisdom and mercy. He built a kingdom of prosperity, where the fields were green and the people sang in the streets. But in the halls of power, mercy can be seen as weakness, and where there is weakness, envy takes root. Alden's own brother, Lord Varric, was the soil where that envy grew into a forest of betrayal. By day, Varric knelt before his king, his hand on his heart, swearing oaths of fealty. But by night, in chambers hidden deep beneath the castle, he plotted with forbidden magics, his heart sworn only to a throne he believed was his by right. The whispers started small. A rumor of plague in the east, a border skirmish in the west. Varric, as the king's chief advisor and commander of his armies, was perfectly positioned to orchestrate these unfortunate events. He used fear like a chisel, chipping away at the people's faith in their king. He'd report fabricated failures to the royal council, subtly painting Alden as a weak, indecisive ruler, unable to protect his own realm. The nobles, ever hungry for more power, began to listen. They saw in Varric a strong hand, a leader who would not shy away from the hard decisions Alden's mercy often softened. The web of lies was intricate, woven over years with patience and malice. The night of the coup became known as the Night of Shattered Silver. Under the guise of a royal banquet celebrating a supposed victory Varric had orchestrated, the trap was sprung. The wine was poisoned not with venom but with a sleep draught that left the loyalist guards helpless. Soldiers sworn to Varric, their banners hidden until the last moment, stormed the great hall. King Alden, confronted by his own brother, didn't draw his sword. He simply asked, "Why, brother? Was the love of a kingdom not enough?" Varric's response was a cold smile. "It was never the kingdom I wanted, Alden. It was your crown." Alden was imprisoned in the highest tower of the very castle he had ruled, left to watch as his kingdom was plunged into an endless twilight. They say when Varric took the crown, the sun itself was so ashamed it refused to rise, leaving the Silver Realm under a perpetual cloak of gray, starless sky. But one spark of light escaped the encroaching darkness. Alden's only daughter, Princess Lyra, was just a teenager when her world was torn apart. Smuggled out of the castle by a loyal guard, she carried with her two things: her father's ancestral sword, Silverlight, and his final whispered words. As he pushed her toward a secret passage, his voice echoed with a strength that defied his chains. "Do not fight for the throne, Lyra. Fight for the people." Those words became her creed. Banished to the frozen, unforgiving lands of the north, Lyra faced a world starkly different from the warmth of her father's court. Here, survival was a daily battle against the cold, the hunger, and the predatory beasts that roamed the icy plains. But the harshness of the wilderness did not break her. It forged her. She learned to track from the mountain wolves, to fight from grizzled mercenaries who had fled Varric's regime, and to endure from the land itself. She trained relentlessly with Silverlight, the sword feeling heavy and foreign in her hands at first, but slowly becoming an extension of her will. The blade, said to glow in the presence of true courage, remained dark for years, a silent testament to the doubt that still lingered in her heart. Meanwhile, back in the Silver Realm, Varric's reign was as cold and bleak as the northern wastes. He ruled not with wisdom, but with fear. The shadow magic he had used to seize power now seeped into the very soil of the kingdom. Crops withered, joy turned to ash, and the once vibrant streets of the capital became silent corridors where people scurried, heads down, avoiding the gaze of the shadow guard. Hope was a forgotten word, a dangerous luxury that no one could afford. Varric sat upon his obsidian throne, his influence spreading like a disease, the kingdom slowly rotting from the inside out. He believed his power was absolute, his reign eternal. He had forgotten about the exiled princess. After 2 decades of this slow decay, a celestial omen appeared. The moon, once a silver coin in the sky, turned a deep bloody red. It was a sign foretold in ancient prophecies, a herald of great change. And on that night, the exiled princess returned. Lyra was no longer a frightened girl. She was a warrior, her face etched with the resolve of the northern winds, her eyes holding the light of a coming dawn. She rode through the blighted lands on a steed as white as snow, her silver flame armor a beacon in the oppressive twilight. she had not come to reclaim a crown. She had come to fulfill her father's last wish. Her rebellion started small, a whisper of defiance that grew into a roar. They called her cause hopeless. After 20 years of Varric's iron-fisted rule, who would dare to stand against him? They were right, it was hopeless. Until the people rose beside her. The farmers whose lands had been blighted. The merchants whose livelihoods had been stolen. The old soldiers who still remembered the reign of a just king. They all saw in Lyra not a ruler, but a chance. A chance for the sun to rise again. Her army was a patchwork of commoners, disenfranchised knights, and even mages who had been persecuted under Varric's anti-magic decrees. They marched under Lyra's banner, a silver sun on a field of blue, a symbol of the dawn they so desperately craved. The final confrontation took place at the gates of the capital. Varric, enraged by this unexpected defiance, unleashed the full extent of his dark power. Standing atop the castle walls, he summoned a storm of black fire, a maelstrom of shadow and lightning that crashed down upon the battlefield. It was a curse made manifest, a torrent of despair designed to extinguish the last embers of hope. The rebel army faltered, the darkness overwhelming their senses. But Lyra rode into the heart of the storm. Facing the shadowy figure of her uncle on the battlements, she raised Silverlight high. Her voice, amplified by a strength born of love, not ambition, cut through the howling winds. You may rule the throne, Varric, but you will never rule their hearts. At that moment, her father's sword, which had remained dormant for 2 long decades, answered her courage. It erupted in a blinding flash of pure, white light, a miniature sun in her hand. The light pierced the magical storm, tearing a hole through the black clouds. And for the first time in 20 years, the sun rose again. Its golden rays poured through the rift, banishing the shadows and breaking Varric's power. The Shadow King shrieked as the light touched him, his form dissolving into nothing more than a wisp of smoke, a bad dream finally ending. The battle was won not by the sword, but by the dawn it heralded. In the aftermath, the people looked to Lyra to lead them. They offered her the crown, the throne, the title of queen, but she refused. Lyra never called herself queen. She simply stood on the castle walls, watching the sunrise with her people, the kingdom reborn in its light. She wasn't a ruler who sat on a throne, she was the dawn that ended the night. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If you love epic stories and worlds waiting to be discovered, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We have many more legends to share with you.